Hello there, and you're very welcome back to the Football Pod. It's a Monday. The evenings are getting that little bit longer, and the big dogs were all out in force this weekend. We had Shane McGuinness kicking 11 points, we had Conor O'Callaghan kicking 7, and we had David Clifford with that buzzer beater against Mayo. Talking to big dogs, we've got James Donahue and Paddy Andrews with me. Hello, fellas.
Hey, Tom.
Good segue.
How are things?
All good in the hood. How are you?
Good,
Yeah. Oh, I'm good. Yeah, busy
How are
weekend.
you, Tommy, actually, yeah. Tell us about yourself.
I'm very well, lads. All is going well with me.
How's the new job?
We're not going to linger on that. Busy. I'm in Dublin in the morning. There is a big launch on integration of the association. So if you want to get into that right now, we can.
Sounds
Croker, who's
interesting.
The ladies in the
Mary
community coming
McAleese.
in under the GA.
Yeah,
is it?
so it's
dead.
updated. We're going to figure out what the story is when this is going to start motoring, because there's been a lot of talk about it for a long time. Yeah. So I'm actually looking forward to chatting to on former Uachtaráin Mary McAleese tomorrow.
Wow.
And
Nice.
might ask about Casement and how that's motoring along, because we got an update last week that Casement is on the way back.
Started today. Or did I read that?
Yeah.
Building work started today.
Yeah.
What a stadium that's going to be.
well, how many seater?
A lot of movement this week. I didn't
40,
check that, James. It could be around 40, yeah. Or maybe it's 30.
It's for they're getting the Euros, aren't they? Doesn't have to be above. It has to be above 30,000 to get
Is
a
it
UEFA
28,000?
We do have a lot of stadiums, don't we?
No, like high ends. That would be.
This would be
like
the best,
for
probably.
Belfast,
Yeah,
that would be that'd be a great stadium.
34,500
34.
capacity stadium. So, look, after the Euros, we can worry about filling that up afterwards. But obviously, it's going to be a huge home for GA in the north, and maybe some Ulster finals will obviously go back there. It's going to be amazing, and it's going to be great, and it's needed up there once it gets done. So that's tomorrow, and then at the weekend, I was at the Fitzgibbon Cup final. I'm not sure if you saw the scenes in Abbeydorney, but Mary I upset the odds.
Your photo got a lot of coverage, T.
Bit of
Jamie
content.
Wall and Podge. You got a lot of coverage over there.
I never knew they were
Especially
such good
photos,
friends.
two lads. The first cousins, yeah, they would have been very close
That's
growing
class.
up, and the walls.
photo, to be fair to
Jamie's,
you.
I think Jamie's youngest brother Philip, he's actually in Cratloe at the minute, staying with Colin and Kate Collins.
What was it?
In college? Yeah, so they'd be very close. They'd be very close to Collins in the walls.
Was Jamie over them when they won it the last time?
Jamie would have been a selector in 16. He would have been playing in 13. He would have been when they got to their first final. When they won their first, he was a selector in 16, and then he was manager in 17 when they won their second. And then 7 years later, he managed them the whole time since. 7 years later, he's led them to a third title. Lads, UL were raging favourites. They were going for 3 in a row, which hadn't been done since the 90s.
Who was the big dog for UL? Like, who were the main men? Presumably a few Limerick lads.
Colin Coughlin from Limerick. You've got Mark Rogers from Clare, Young Hurler of the Year last year. There's a clatter of them across the board. Jason Gallan is Aaron Gallan's younger brother. He's in goals for Mary I. He scored a goal at the weekend. You want to see this lad. He's unbelievable. And
big Limerick derby.
A couple of very good Clare players as well that I caught up with afterwards. Diarmuid Ryan from Cratloe and Shane Meehan and Adam Hogan. So that was fun. And then
busy weekend to you. You're busy.
Saturday,
Jesus
went to Tralee. So see what happens when you ask me what the crack is?
You love it down in Kerry, is it? You're down in Kerry all the time.
20 minutes of the pod is gone here.
Enjoyed it in Tralee, lads. I enjoyed it, but it was saved. The day was saved. James, were you at this? I know we didn't catch up.
We didn't.
But we were both in the same vicinity. We were both busy. I was working. You were enjoying yourself.
You were on the pints again, Jimmy, were you?
Well, I had to have a couple to celebrate a good weekend. Nothing major, Just enjoyable. Few to finish off a weekend.
Casual, yeah. Casual.
Few casual ones. Great day. Kerry winning last minute. Cork will be in the Telton now, realistically.
Come on, man. What is the story with this love-hate relationship with Cork? What is they loved it last year. James Donaghue's Cork. They loved it.
They did.
The little bounce you gave
The
them.
bounce.
And it's just
no.
It's evaporated this year.
No, last year I called it straight. I said I reckon they'll have a kick in them towards the end of the year. This year, though, they have just fallen completely flat. Completely flat. And the fixtures they've had, to lose to Louth and Cavan, and if Fermanagh next, if they don't get the win against Fermanagh, they're gonzo. Because they'll still have Armagh to play. And then even if they get good results against Kildare-Meath, they won't have enough points on the board. So it's literally do or die.
The way it's panning out, Jimmy, you've got to say Kildare, look, on the basis of what we seen yesterday.
Kildare are doomed and Cork are doomed as well. Because they're running out of time. Like they've played 3 games already. They haven't even They haven't even looked at getting going. So you need five. You probably need 5 points to stay up.
I will make 1 point, lads, and I do get all the doom and gloom around the two of them. But you mentioned Fermanagh Cork this weekend. Meath are playing Kildare this weekend. Meath
are down
just,
with it. Good win. It was a great win, but they did their best to lose it as well.
Just about got over the line. It was really good second half, Paddy. I watched it closely. Really, really good second half, but it was very poor up to that. But just to let you know, they aren't dead and buried yet, Cork and Kildare.
No, I don't think
they're not.
I don't think Cork. I think Kildare, the way they're playing, Tommy. We'll talk about Kildare now in a few minutes. Cork they've been tight in a couple of games, bar the Donegal game, which is they were blown away. But we've seen Donegal Donegal seem a step ahead along with Armagh and everyone else in that division. Cork, they could have beaten Louth, they could have beaten Cavan. They're not terrible performances. The results are going against them. Whereas Kildare on the other side are getting whopped every time they play. They look like they're definitely gone. Cork can still possibly nick it and get 4 points and stay up.
The point I was going to make is, if Kildare do beat Meath this weekend, Paddy, and they've beaten Meath the last 3 years when they've needed to beat them, if they beat them, and I just say Cork beat Fermanagh, it'll be Kildare 2 points, Cork 2 points, Meath 3 points, Fermanagh 3 points, and depending on where Louth Cavan goes, you'll either have Louth on 2 points as well, or tight, Louth and Cavan on 4. So it's very tight.
But teams aren't beating Donegal, and teams aren't going to beat Armagh. So you can rule out those fixtures for teams. They're not getting the points off them.
For their final group game, they'll have already sealed promotion. And you see this with Daire and Cork last year. It could be a second string team from both Armagh and Donegal. That could be a good time to get them.
Maybe. Okay.
Because if you get them, they're the two best teams in the division by far over the first 3 rounds of the league. But you could get them in round 7 and the rest of everyone. And you might nick
them. Yeah, that's a fair point. But the state of Munster at the moment, there's only going to be one Munster team.
State of Leinster, Jimmy. Leinster's not too hot either. Jeez.
Yeah, but one Munster team is Sam Maguire, possibly.
Round 7, Cork play Armagh and Donegal are home to Meath. So, interesting point you make there, Paddy. We'll see what happens there.
You assume, and I know Donegal and Armagh play each other this weekend, which would be a brilliant game based on what we've seen so far. Armagh were really impressive yesterday. Donegal, big scores again. Fuck, Jimmy McGuinness. Those boys are motoring. They seem like they'll steamroll away from everyone else. So that could be a little sneaky advantage for Meath and Cork on the final day of the normal group games.
So we're keeping an eye on. Before we get back to Kildare, because we are going to get to them quite quickly, and we did cover them extensively last Thursday. They're in the glare at the minute. I want to just go back to Tralee, James, because I kind of started this podcast with a bit of a bounce, a bit of positivity, because some of the good football we saw at the weekend. Maybe it's the fact that Meath won, but really, I was so excited to go to Kerry last week. You sold it to us in the pod, because James sold it to us, Paddy. He sold us on Thursday how good this game was going to be. James.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
The crowd were there for an hour and a half beforehand. The stand was full.
I reckon they were knackered because it never got going. It never got going atmosphere-wise either.
But the game for 20 minutes of the first half, we had
awful. Yeah. I think it was slow build up. A lot of men behind the ball. Mayo didn't risk. Well, actually, Mayo did kick away a lot of ball, to be fair, but they got a lot of bodies back, both teams, and it never really got into a flow of attacking. I thought it was going to get into that kind of physical turnovers with just bombing on and ball breaking everywhere, crashing, that kind of Mayo style where everything is just off the cuff. And I thought the Kerry would thrive on that, but it turned out to be different. Both teams played kind of cagey, and it was only in the last 10 minutes when everything was on the line, like the club scenes I'd seen all through last year. It was only when the game was on the line that it really came alive. And I must say, when Kerry played Derry at home, and they had the ball with 90 seconds to go, and we had a shot at the post, and Shane Ryan actually had the shot, so he went wide, gave the ball back to Derry, who came down and got the winner. This time Kerry worked it far nicer. Paddy Clifford had the ball in midfield, took his time, stood still, soloing the ball to just get the time right, make sure they were happy with that, make sure they wouldn't give Mayo another chance after Kerry did have their attack. Brought David Clifford out the field so he could start his run from there.
He got a touch
in midfield so he could come late onto the run, because if he started inside, he'd have 3 on him, pulling and dragging him. Got it through the hands of Paddy, Shawnee, David Clifford, and eventually the space opens up for David. I would say that the defending was poor, but from a Kerry point of view, the way they manufactured the score, the whole world knew what Kerry wanted to do.
I get
The
that.
whole world knew what Kerry
But-
wanted to do, and it was one man to get on the end of it. And for them to leave him
Yeah.
exposed one-on-one, and where he was exposed one-on-one, realistically, just to the right side of the
But-
top of the D.
But if you look, that's into a stiff breeze. I think it's anyone but Clifford is not getting near kicking that score. Like,
Do you
I
reckon?
don't think Mayo do a
It
whole
was-
pile wrong. It's phenomenal from Clifford. Conditions, Jimmy. Like you look at that and you say, "Oh, that's easy." There's a big wind there as well.
No,
like lots of players were struggling with that, and Clifford, like he has to kick it over him. It's not terrible defending. By Mayo. Do you know what I mean? You have to kind of just accept it. Fucking genius at Clifford again. Like
I know, but I suppose maybe where the damage was done was letting him get his hands on the ball in the first place.
If he has it,
like we're talking about going back again to that kick out thing when you're up in the last minute and the opposition has a kick out and you're grabbing a fella and you're saying you're not fucking getting it anyway. Definitely not you of all fellas. But I think
100%,
I think that Kerry will be very happy how they manufactured it. And in fairness to David, the amount of clutch scores he gets is reckless.
Such a good
No fluke.
Oh, but that's the thing about a great player where he goes, right, now's my time. We're in the last minute.
Michael Jordan.
All the other stuff, kicking 5 or 4 during the rest of the game, that doesn't get his fire going. It's kicking the clutch ones in the last minute to win it. I think that's just unreal.
Do you remember just before half time when I think Kenny and Burke had a poor wide and there was a couple of poor wides in a row? Clifford had a very similar shot at the very end of the first half and they dropped short.
With a bit of a breeze.
Yeah, is it just that surge of adrenaline and he's just able to embrace that moment at the end, James? Because it isn't a fluke that he's the man, whether it's a club or county, that's always getting that buzzer beater.
Well, I suppose
You're really pushing that buzzer beater, aren't you? Like, are you trying to bring that phrase at the GAA?
I want to bring in the buzzer like the ladies' football at the end of the game.
20 fucking tweets about this buzzer beater. Like, you're really
I got a bit of grief eventually saying it's not a thing, but it is a thing. Like, it's the last kick of the game.
Well,
if you keep using it enough, maybe it'll.
I think the Cliff is such the standout player in every single team he's ever been on that he's always carried that almost burden of expectation. But he doesn't use it as a burden. He uses it probably, enjoys it. He's probably so used to it that he just knows, right, it's my time. And like, it's just great to see, in fairness, and a great kick. Like, not an easy kick last minute. Your legs might be heavy. It's going into the wind. Put it up in the air, let it come in nicely. But the way the Kerry worked that score, I thought was impressive because that's what's gonna come down to. Like, I was trying to think back to the All-Ireland final, the Kerry lost to Dublin, and how they would have got on there if Kerry were a point down. Would they have been able to work that shot? Do you know? I think that nearly takes a year or two to actually to perfect where you've enough done to do it.
I think they got clear. You remember pretty ones towards the end in the fourth quarter of the All-Ireland final. He gets a couple of shots over towards the Kazakhstan side, so just the radar was a little bit off.
Yeah,
I know this was spoken about a lot in the media after the All-Ireland. Fitzsimons did as probably well as anyone could do on him. But Clifford still had opportunities. And that's I think Kerry did work the ball reasonably well in that All-Ireland final, but just it was one of those days for Clifford, and he's not going to have many of them where his radar was just a little bit off. But Saturday night again, like that's, like I say, it wasn't it. I watched a couple of games over the weekend. There's a lot of huff and puff in lots of games. Tyrone Galway in particular. I was at the game. I got out of Croke Park straight after the final whistle of Dublin Roscommon game. Got home and watched this on the telly. The games are tight. I hear you, but that little bit of quality that Clifford had, like that was the standout moment, probably from the weekend in terms of just a moment of just brilliant stuff. And for Kerry, it was a really good win for them as well. They disappointed with their opening night defeat at home to Daire, but they went really clinical up in Clonus, dispatched them on him pretty handily. Good win against Mayo, who've been one of the top teams in the league over the last 2 years, and it sets up Kerry this weekend, Saturday night, Croke Park, a brilliant game. Dublin, Kerry again, and both teams seem to be finding a little bit of form as well. So it sets up a brilliant game this weekend. But I think Kerry to win a game that way against a team like Mayo, aside from Clifford's magic at the end, I think Jack McConnell will be very happy with that.
I think just the way they managed
it.
Sorry, Tom. Just the way they managed the time, because I think it's very important that you not only you get a shot off, you don't give the opposition the chance to go again, because you're almost like, you're celebrating. Yes, I got a score, and the team could have the ball kicked out and down the other side of the field by the time you're even realize what happened. But it's interesting then when you look at the Tyrone Galway game and how Tyrone, it's like they didn't even
It was
know.
a hard slog, wasn't it? That
But
game?
say in the last minute, I don't think they even knew what was gone on the clock. I was like, kick it, shoot. He's going to blow it. He's going to blow it up. And they just kept recycling. And I was actually happy enough in the end that the ref blew it up because they turned down 2 chances to shoot at the posts and just ran out of time.
I did. Like they were a bit closer. Now again, windy conditions. You probably don't catch it on the telly, but it's a tricky here. I think they were struggling into that goal for the whole both teams in each half. Like we seen it very famously with Daire and Donegal in the championship 2 years ago. I think it was David Cole took the ref that day, Tommy, where Daire have the ball.
Paddy, you love putting me on the spot, pal. I can't remember.
No,
I thought he'd know that. No, you should know that. Tom.
There was a big David Cole, great need, man, great need, legend. But it was at the Donegal.
Right.
Our Daire were trying to work the shot. And because it was a championship game, and Colger just goes, lads, I've given you fucking 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm blowing the whistle. You've had opportunities. You haven't taken it on. I agreed. I thought that they had opportunities to be a bit more direct. They didn't take it on. The ref was entitled to blow the whistle. Tyrone fans were obviously a bit hostile towards Joe McGuinness at the end of that game. But you're right. They had opportunities going across the top of the D, and they didn't take it on. I suppose maybe it's a bit of inexperience from Tyrone, or maybe it's just they didn't get the ball to their David Clifford.
Canavan was gone off as though, which probably did make a difference.
Yeah, to get the shot to someone, or if McCurry was there, you know, I agree. You want to get it to your killer at that point. Tyrone didn't do that. They kind of faffed around a bit. They probably, like you said, McCann gone off. They didn't really have a shooter on the pitch, so they could have been there for another 5 minutes. And Joe McQuillan just said, right, that's it, blow it up. I didn't think that was a great game, lads. You know, Tyrone might struggle through the division. They were poor. I spoke about, I kind of gave them a bit of stick after their performance against Daire the week before. Like, it wasn't great on Sunday. It was a good win for Galway. If you look at Galway without Walsh and Comer, then they lose Conroy. Only looks like a dead leg. To be
Kelly
fair.
was only on the bench.
The ice pack,
No, he came
Kelly
on.
only comes out, but he came on, but he wasn't starting. And then Matty Tierney as well, who was that's arguably their 5 biggest players. And at different stages, they were missing all of them, and they were under pressure. The slow start for Galway this season, but to go up there and get a win, it's a big win for Joyce. They have Daire this weekend, so at home,
massive game.
Very interesting to see where Galway are at.
Will the boys be back for that? I wonder.
No, they're not. They're not back. They'll miss the next 2 games.
What are the injuries?
And Matty Tierney looked bad. Like he was carried off. Conroy just looks like a dead leg, but it's week on week. Whether you'd imagine he'd be okay to play, but Galway definitely are going to be at full strength. And Daire, out of all the teams in all the divisions, seem to be
streets out. They're flying, aren't they?
Yeah.
But you know who was very good for Galway the weekend was Johnny Heaney. I thought every time there was like a breaking ball, he was in there. He was dirty, and then he got up for his 2 scores.
Spinners as well. Yeah. A couple of lovely spinners,
beautiful
which is not really. I wouldn't have him down for that. You know, that little bit of.
You need to chip in with them from 10. You need them. It's so key.
Oh no, I agree. But he doesn't. That's if you say Johnny Heaney, that's not. You don't think a little bit of silk. You know, you do think of he's got to win big balls, turnovers. Key on transitions for Galway, but he came up with some big scores. Beautiful to the outside of the line as well.
He's always at that in the locker.
Yeah, I must say he was impressive.
Tommy, you're not hanging your hat on that. You know what I mean?
No. Sorry, but what I mean is he's always had that
A game.
That outside
it was brilliant yesterday.
Blocker. Yeah, no, he was.
And then Carl Sweeney's goal was obviously the key score. But Galway, I think the whole game was just a lot of, huff and puff from both teams. You know, a whole pile of quality in it. Galway, particularly without their 5 front liners, at least that's the positive thing for Joyce to go. We've got to win away from home. They have a really tough game at home this weekend, but they're on 3 points now. Can they pick up a few more points? They stay in Division 1, and that's without their best players. So that's the positive spin. For Tyrone, it just looks like we said it. I think it's going to be a tough year for them.
It looks like it.
Yeah. I had a question on Mayo, but I think I'll save it for Thursday's pod. And I also think we'll be talking about Monaghan Roscommon on Thursday's pod. That's a big game this weekend. Both sides are in a sticky situation. One of them surely is going to end up going down, even though that relegation battle in Division 1 seems to have dragged Tyrone certainly into it. Dublin are still on 2 points, Galway on 3. But Paddy, Dublin look to be back motoring quite well at the weekend. Conor O'Callaghan certainly threw
Yeah,
the shackles
definitely. Like I said, although Dublin were beaten in Castlebar, I thought I was happy with how they performed. I thought there was a good performance with them. They probably could have won the game. Saturday night, what was really it's been a tough week, obviously, for Dublin, for Dublin GA as a whole, and particularly for the players trying to prepare for a game. A lot of the ex-players and people who've been involved with Dublin over the last 10 years, we were all at the game. There was a bit of a thing on for Shane O'Hanlon's family and his wife Mary. So it was just a really emotional event, but particularly for the players that to try and go out and perform it and get an important league game after a slow start that they needed to get a result. So I think Desi alluded to that. I think Khan spoke after the match as well. So it was brilliant for Dublin to get a performance, to get a result under those circumstances. But they were good, I thought. Roscommon weren't bad first half, really clinical. It's 7 from 7. They were kind of hanging in the game. I thought Dublin were a better team throughout, particularly second half. Roscommon looked a bit flat on Dublin's power and that kind of intent in their attack and play. Khan on the square is obviously a big help. He didn't reach the heights that we know he can towards the end of last summer, and even the first game of this National League against Monaghan, he didn't look as sharp as he can be. I thought he was better against Mayo, but he was on the square on Saturday night against Roscommon, and Dublin were looking for him. He scored 7 points. He actually has a couple of misses as well. It was his best scoring return. He just looked threatening. Dublin were looking for him. It was real intent in Dublin's attack and play. The big work on their scoring percentage was way down, and I've no doubt they're going to look at that this week. Particularly, they need to convert a lot more when they play Kerry this weekend, because some was just poor execution, some was just bad shots, particularly in the first half, and that was keeping Roscommon in the game, to be fair. So, but in terms of their attacking style, defensively, Theo Clancy, who we spoke about,
he's impressive.
The full back line. It was a different challenge for him. He was on Enda Smith at times. When Enda Smith went inside, he was marking Murta as well. Very different challenge playing against those guys in Croke Park than Aidan O'Shea at Castlebar, but he was really good again. It'll be another step up on Saturday night against the Kerry full forward line, but there's positives for Desi Farrell. Brian Howard got game time, Sean Bugner. So a good win. Like I say, they're still only on 2 points and they have a tough game this weekend. But I think both Kerry and Dublin will be happy at where they're at so far, and it sets up this was, both teams will be eyeing this when the league fixtures came out. This is a marquee game in the National League on Saturday night, and I think both teams are in relatively good form coming into it. So I think it's going to be a brilliant game. Looking forward to going into that this weekend.
James, did you see how frustrated Davy Burke was afterwards speaking to TG Carr?
I did.
We have trained 65 times and we have had our full squad together 0 times. You can blame club, you can blame colleges or whatever you want. That's a big problem. Now, I say he was just in the moment, but he said, we need all those boys to be training tomorrow morning. Now,
he's had a few classics and interviews in fairness to Davy Burke.
He gets excited, doesn't he? Like he does.
He wears his heart. He does.
Now, the first thing on that.
What are your thoughts?
Okay,
on that, Jimmy? Go on.
The first
what do you think?
Red flag is 65 training sessions. We're in February.
Maybe he means.
Whatever he means. Whatever he means. I don't care if you're saying on the field, in the gym, whatever.
It can all be pitched.
No, it can't. But whatever it is.
To give context.
You're still seeing fellas 65 times. You must be sick of the sight of each other already. In terms of freshness and the upward trajectory of the group and your energy levels, you've trained your arse off already. You're nearly sick of it. 65 sessions. I'm trying to do the maths here. How many times were they out a week? When were they allowed back?
If they started in November, that's 5 sessions a week.
And Paddy, would that be a surprise to you in terms of what Dublin would have done during the 6 in a row?
Us, yeah. Oh, yeah. 65 sessions by the time the All-Ireland final came around. we had.
No. In terms of not training.
65 sessions. I don't think that's on the pitch. It can't be. It can't be. There's no way they've trained 5 times a week on the pitch since November. They couldn't possibly have trained 5 times. That would be insane. So I think the context there, that probably includes gym sessions and
probably reviews or meetings.
Yeah, exactly. But if you look, Roscommon, because wasn't this mentioned? Someone mentioned this one. Was it Mark McHugh who was involved? That this Sunday morning thing, they were doing this last year as well. And you remember they had a really good league campaign last year. I think they finished 3rd in Division 1.
Yeah, they're very impressive.
They're going really well. So as you go with the same approach now, I agree with Jimmy. When I seen that, I thought that doesn't sound great. We're in the second week of February and you're talking about 65 sessions. So that was the first thing. In Davy Burke's defence, right? It is difficult for counties with smaller playing pools. And Colin were working on to this with Meath as well, that when you don't have that vast number of players at your disposal, this is a difficult time because the Sigerson Cup is on. St. Bridget's, if one of your key club teams gets an All-Ireland one, which Roscommon obviously have at St. Bridget's, you're missing the core of those guys as well. So I can understand Davy Burke's frustration. You know, it's not really an issue with the likes of a Dublin or Kerry or even maybe Tyrone, where there's bigger playing pools, where you can absorb that. If you're missing players through club, like with Dublin, for example, there's loads of players. So the club players, whether it was Kilmacud, Crokes or Vincent's during our time, we're just gone. We're not going to see it. Sigerson Cup, UCD, DCU players, we're not going to see it. Roscommon probably don't have the luxury of that to be.
But they don't. Roscommon have probably 30 players, 35, 36 maybe, but they're probably pushing it with those lower. So I can see why Davy Burke is frustrated there, and he's going, we're in Division 1, we're trying to be competitive, we're up against it here, and I'm missing these players. And they've been, like they were well beat the other night. I thought Dublin were comfortable, and like that was Dublin not really in top gear, definitely not in top gear, and missing a lot. So in the heat of the moment, and as James said, he maybe has a bit of previous with this. He might have said a couple of things, but I can understand his frustration around that with the lack of access to players. But I do look at that going 65 times by the second week of February. I think a lot of that was the kind of the general consensus from everyone from the outside looking in. Oh Jesus, that doesn't sound too hectic now. I'm sure he's well sourced, and I'm just going looking for it there, and I actually came across the headline, but a different headline that I mentioned. But Brawley's column on Sunday had in it that Jim McGuinness got the Donegal boys together for their first session.
Oh, I actually did read this. I read Brawley's thing this week. Yeah,
it was a beach session, and he had them together collectively every day for the next 53 days.
What?
Well,
Jim McGuinness.
That's what Brawley had. Now, like I'm not questioning Brawley's sources here, but I'm just saying that's not what I'm saying. Joe had it on Sunday.
Joe Brawley has said things about Dublin which are absolutely categorically false. Not about
really? Like what? You're throwing out things now about a lawyer who can come for us, Paddy. So
he'll tell you. So like, Brad, he said things like, I was talking to this guy and this happened. And it's like, that is just not true. So pinch of salt with what Joe was saying.
At what stage in that article did he mention Pat Gilroy?
To say, I'm not questioning Joe Brawley here. Paddy Andrews, former Dublin footballer, questions Brawley here.
Did he mention Pat in it?
He mentions Pat every two sentences.
It was... I actually had a little chuckle. I think it finishes with a little chortle at the end. It was Dublin wouldn't insult themselves by trying to win the league or something. It was just like such a Brawley article. But I did see that with McGuinness. And
is that too much? Is that overkill? Given that you've probably been there before.
But if you take new manager bounce, and this is what I'm saying with Davy Burke last year, his first year at Roscommon, they were doing all this Sunday morning stuff. They were flat out, and they had a really good energy about it. That intensity of training, of relentlessness, contact, all that time, that has a shelf life.
Yeah, 100%.
That is why every strength conditioning coach, in terms of on the pitch stuff, every experienced coach, you're talking about training load. You're talking about peaking at the right time. With Dublin, we had gym for years. We all knew each other. We didn't need to have that level of intensity, and we never would have at that stage of the season. Jim McGuinness is a new manager. There was a lot of surgery needed on that Donegal team. So he had to go in from the get and goes, I need to see you lads every day because it's been such a fucking car crash.
Did Gilroy do that?
Pat would have done that. Start, Pat back in, you have to remember how bad Dublin were. You know, when Pat came in back in 2009, like they've been whopped by Tyrone, nowhere near an All-Ireland. So that team and the group needed heavy intensity and training.
Yeah, okay.
But Davy Burke is in his second year now. That I looked at them yesterday and they just look flat. So the new manager bounce, and it's going to see every day. We're going to do all of this. Players are like, yeah, let's do this. I would say if you I looked at those Roscommon players on Saturday night Croke Park, and they look like they fucking looked like they trained 65 times in the last.
But come here on that, right?
You said one red flag, James.
Yes, that's my second one.
He had a list.
The fact that he wanted to tell everyone they've trained 65 times was my second one. Like, why let that cat out of the bag?
Yeah.
What, like, who needs to know that? And why say it? That was my other question on it. It's like, we're training so hard, we're trying so hard. And then the final one was, I think that they might be the type of team that it's all, let's work harder, work harder, work harder. Whereas if they took a step back, maybe they might get better rewards from it. And actually, it might be a few tactical things. But sometimes you get so engrossed in more training. Let's get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and run up a mountain. It's not, it's not good. Training harder when you're that elite in terms of your fitness isn't going to give you that much reward. I think that it could be a smaller thing of freshness, tactical work that will give you a bigger bounce in that situation, and keeping everything more in-house. Don't tell everyone. Everyone now is saying the lads are training like dogs and they're absolutely bang average, and they're going to lose a bit of fear factor around you, or a bit of that.
Was there a fourth red flag? I have a red flag you haven't mentioned.
No,
God, David Burke is getting thrown pillar in here. Go on.
I was giving context to David Burke. Semi defending him.
No, and I think he is just a bit off the cuff with that. Yeah, go on.
I need all these boys training tomorrow morning.
I feel like that was just a throwaway comment.
I think the whole thing could have been throwaway. But I didn't like. I was like, going, what are they going to do tomorrow morning? Like,
yeah, no, I know.
Well, he did say that last year with Ian and GA go on an interview. It was a case of everyone togs the morning after a game.
Was that what it was? I definitely remember this Sunday morning thing.
Yeah,
and everyone was there. But he said it to us on GA Golf.
He said it. Mark had him say that they were favourites for the All-Ireland. I was honestly comedy gold that interview.
Mark was saying him up like, Jesus Christ.
I can tell how passionate you are about this mental burnout that is obviously a topic. Would you have been a vocal element of the dressing room, rallying against all these collective sessions?
No, Jesus, no.
Would you constantly rail against this?
No, absolutely not. And whatever you're in, you're behind. It's only if we're on the outside we can poke holes and all this stuff. Once you're in there, you're fully bought in and you're supporting it. Any fella who goes against the grain is no good to anyone to an extent.
Okay.
There would have been times as well, particularly with experienced players like you had. You played under Jack?
Yeah.
You started under Jack.
Yeah, you did.
You name if it's right. We'd Pat in the gym. It would have been when a group was kind of comfortable and experienced. It would have been a bit of two-way. Like there's times where we would have been. We're thinking of doing this. What do we think? And the players would have had genuine say and gone,
we're going on holidays next week.
But maybe not to that extent, but there was definitely things where we would go to the coaches, and this was kind of the mutual respect between both the players and the coach. Going, this is not for us this week. This, and it would be listened to, and it would be actioned. There's no one like at this level. It's not like a fucking pub team where lads are taking the piss and we don't want to do that because we're going on a night out for a couple of days. You're trying to be sneaky with it. Everyone involved in all of these teams at this level wants to win and be the best they can be. So if someone comes to you and say you're telling me Enda Smith goes to David Burke and goes, I am wrecked. I can't train tomorrow. I'm sure that will be listened to.
Of course,
it's not like he's not looking for a shortcut or anything like that. It's about that communication between the managers, the groups, and we definitely had it with Dublin. This was planned to happen, but we're not feeling it. And we changed it.
But I that of course would be a thing across the board, I would say. But the thing with Roscommon is, it seems like it's not just one or two heavy weeks here and there. It seems like the whole system is flat to the mat. So it's hard to go to your manager and say, this whole thing is a bit heavy, It's fine. It's fine if you're saying, come here, this bank holiday weekend, I'm not sure about the Monday morning session. But this seems like across the board.
Okay, well, we'll keep an eye on it, and it's obviously a massive game next weekend, which we'll talk about on Thursday.
That's in the Hyde against Monaghan, is it?
Yeah, that's a big game. And I think
the big game for both of those two.
Big game for you, Paddy. The team to watch.
Yeah.
I didn't know they've been fucking training 100 times a week. Jesus, Davey, you could have told me this 2 weeks ago before I said you might have a good season. Jesus Christ.
Speaking of bodies being short, it looks like Monaghan have only 5 or 6 players who played in the semi-final last year, so against Dublin. So we'll see how they respond this weekend to Hyde. Let's just get through some of the results, lads. And there's so much to talk about. We could have done a bloody 3-hour pod this week, Lucky we have 2. So Dublin 119, Roscommon 112, Kerry 16 points, Mayo 15, Derry 317, Monaghan 13 points. And we didn't really get to talk about Derry this week, but lads, they have cemented themselves, and don't jump in here because we don't have time. They have cemented themselves as All-Ireland contenders. A stat from Michael McMullen: Mickey Hart has now used 35 players this year. He gave a debut to Una Mulholland at the weekend, who had a great campaign with Glen. So look, impressive stuff there. We talked about Galway's 110 to 12 points win against Tyrone. Sean Kelly's back on the pitch. Going to come back to Division 2 in a moment. In Division 3, Down and Westmeath are both on 6 points. Down pulling off a 115 to 16 derby victory against Antrim. They will meet in Ulster as well. Westmeath bet Wicklow without their manager Oisin McConville by 113 to 10 points. Sligo also bet Limerick. They're having a decent league campaign so far. And then Clare, lads, they were 9 points down with 18 minutes to go against Offaly. And they came back and won by a point. A sensational comeback. Offaly actually had a penalty in the last minute that just went over the bar as well. But that was just a remarkable comeback and puts Clare in a fairly decent place when there's a lot of pressure on, given the changes that's gone down there. In Division 4, Carlow, Laois 214, Carlow 9 points. That was a big win for Laois. Justin McNulty out afterwards saying that he hopes the issues can be ironed out around his job, that this is a constant issue in management across the country. And to be fair, it looks like that Saturday in Stormont was a rarity, and he should be able to make this happen, and hopefully Justy can make it happen.
He was in Dr. Cullen Park yesterday as well, sitting beside the new president of the GA. This week, Jared Burns is going
this week. The induction is beginning this week. I think there could have been something at an event in Silver Bridge today, so that'll be interesting this week, and might try and get Jared on the pod at some stage, lads.
Really?
London 1-8 to 11 points draw against Tipperary. Cara Healy from Laois with a late equaliser for London. Waterford put on possibly their best performance of the year so far, but Longford finally got a win after their Upburn Cup success earlier this year, to 16 points to 13. And I don't know if you saw this, lads, but Andy Moran finally got a slice of luck. Leitrim 3-7.
They were my team for Division 4.
Wexford 2-9. Leitrim had a sensational start to this game. Ryan O'Rourke with 2 early goals. They were flying. Wexford caught them. Wexford were 2 up, James. I'm not sure you saw this.
I'm just checking the table there.
I'll send it to you. They're going okay, but Wexford one of the softest. A very soft penalty, you'd have to say.
I did see that, the high ball in. Shocking, absolutely awful decision. Yeah. What?
How? Do you know what's so surprising, right?
No, there's no fairness there.
No, there's no fairness.
There wasn't even a hint of a
ref will not, when it's that stage of a game, they'll go out of their way not to make a game to find a call. They'll fudge it and you need to literally need manslaughter there in the square for a free to be given. So odd that the ref gave it, and then you look at the ref and go, "What's he actually?"
Couldn't wait to give it.
Absolutely insane. Like if you're Wexford, and that's. Like that puts Leitrim in a really strong position now to get promoted. But for Wexford, like if they had got a win there, like that could have a big bearing on who goes up from Division 4. Brilliant, like say a bit of luck for Andy and Leitrim after
they've been due it.
They missed out on that after
a couple of
defeats. But for Wexford, you will be raging.
Very similar to the I suppose the square ball, the controversial square ball we were talking about with Clare last week. A result like that can really swing your season, and for Wexford,
swing the league. It's so tight.
Such a sickener, yeah, absolutely. But Ryan O'Rourke had to bury it, and he did. So he scored a hat-trick of goals. Yeah, very, very impressive. Division 2. James O'Donoghue called it.
Did he?
At the weekend.
Division of Doom.
The Division of Doom. So we know how good Donegal have been.
I actually called all the games last week.
Armagh. Hockey Kildare 216 Kildare.
I want to get this year, lads.
I want to get.
We won't do it for next week though, because the fixtures this weekend are absolutely impossible to go. Sorry, Tommy. Go on.
Yeah. Paddy Kildare. Just now, because we are going to talk about Kildare-Meath on Thursday's pod, because that's another massive relegation game. What do you think? Turlock O'Brien said it on commentary on Radio 1. He said, Kildare. This is about 20 minutes into the game, and I can understand why this makes sense. He said, Kildare aren't as bad as the scoreline suggests, but they have problems.
What stage of the game was this?
20 minutes.
He then went on to hammer.
Can I just finish? Can I finish Turlock?
Will we get Turlock on the pod then?
Can I just finish Turlock's point? He said, but they're losing it now. He said they aren't as bad as the scoreline suggests so far. They're not playing as bad, but they're not functioning in attack. They can't get a good shot off, and they're not functioning on their press of the Armagh kick out. They're not functioning on either side. They're pressing both kick out. So Kildare in very bad places up top and in defence, or is it all over, Paddy?
All over the place. Or all over the pitch. And there was a bit of chat last week because it was alarming Kildare's start to the season, and we're just seeing the results without actually probably seeing as much of them in person. So the fact that they were on live game at the weekend and we seen the reaction on kind of general media, social media, a lot of people are watching that game yesterday because you're expecting this Kildare and Armagh, two good teams. It's going to be a good game, and it was a bad day for Kildare yesterday. I wanted to get a handle on and just see why are they in this situation? Where's it going wrong for them on the pitch? Is it their attack isn't functioning? Is it they're too leaky at the back? Is it their attitude, their intensity? Where is this falling down for Glenn Ryan and his team? And you look at every fundamental aspect of the game yesterday, and it was bad across the board. After the first quarter, they're 2-4 to 3 points down. So that's it. That point is made. So the scoreboard was reflecting exactly how bad they were. Like their own kick out, Mark Donlan chips it short. Armagh, reminiscent of Mayo a couple of years back, really good. They were set up to pounce on the second ball, let Kildare kick it short, and then swarmed them. And physically, athletically, Armagh were just streets ahead of Kildare. They turn over, sloppy turnover, I think it was Owen Doyle and the Kildare wing back into Conor Turbot, goal. So easy. At the other end, Armagh's kick out, okay, what are Kildare trying to do here? Like Joe McElroy gets a point after 11 minutes. Just so symptomatic. Short chip out from Armagh, a couple of hand passes, kick pass up the sideline, and he just streams through a goal. No one tracking him. No contact from any Kildare player. This is 11 minutes into the game, and it just fisted over the bar. And it was like, Jesus. It was like, it just looked. Do you know when you see at this level, a score that just looks, that's too easy. How has that happened? And you look, actually rewind and go, watch from the start of the play. It was like, oh my God, you will be tearing your fucking hair out.
Grugan's goal is similar.
Grugan's goal. It was like, it just looked wrong. How is at this level does someone have that much time in the ball? So the intensity, Kildare just they look like a team completely and utterly devoid of confidence. And they have good players. Like the players in Kildare are better than what was shown yesterday and has been shown today. But across the board, 1 to 15, there is zero confidence in that team. And up front, I like Daire Kerwin as a forward. I think he's lots of positive attributes. He's strong, he's direct, he's fast, he can score. We've seen it with Nace, we've seen him Kildare in the past. Like, I think he was 0 for 6 at one stage. I think he ends up scoring a point out of 7 shots. But like this, you can't, if you're an inside forward at this level of the game, you cannot be that erratic with your shooting. And it was like, I'm just going to keep shooting. And he's looking around and goes, anyone else going to say this to him? Or are Kildare going to work a better score? Ben McCormick, who normally chips in with scores, Armagh just shut him out again. He ends up getting taken off. That's what I mean. Like even Kildare's better players just seem so low on confidence. The basic skills are evading them. But you talk about the structure of the team. Both kickouts, disaster. Attacking game, disaster. Full backline was absolutely, if the poor lad, I think Shea Ryan, the full back, he gets whipped off after 20 minutes. They were absolutely wiped in their full backline. They weren't getting help from out the pitch either. But you're looking, if you're Glenn Ryan or Kildare supporters looking in at this going, where's the positive for us? And people outside the camp are going, how is it going so wrong in Kildare? Yesterday, everyone, it was national TV, got a look at this. You see the reaction on Twitter.
It's the last thing you needed, wasn't it?
Really, yeah. For their perspective, you didn't want a game on national TV, but it was all over the pitch. Defensively, wide open. Attacking wise, just so blunt. They score 8 points in the whole game. Like, bad shots, skills, like, so poor, their skills. Their handling, their kick passing, their decision making. And then what happens when a team is so low on confidence? They just looked unfit. They looked so flat. And I'm sure that Armagh, McGuinness teams, if you like this with Kildare and with Armagh, they're always unbelievably fit. They're physical, they're strong. But Kildare look like they've just gone back training this week. And I know they haven't. But that sense of when a team is so low on confidence and they're being beaten, everyone just looks lethargic. It's just every single aspect of the game was such a failure for Kildare yesterday. And we were talking about Cork at the top of the show about relegation. Cork at least are getting, they possibly could have got, Cork could easily have 4 points on the board at this stage with the Loud game and the Cavan game going their way. Kildare's performances are what I'm looking at going. They are miles up. They looked like a Division 3 team yesterday. They looked at times like Division 4 team. Really. It was that bad.
But you mentioned the kind of repair.
Like, it's massive for them, but it's the offense of the chairman, that type of shit last week.
Well, even Glenn Ryan, obviously, after we won't get into it now because we don't have time to get into it. But Glenn Ryan
probably not great.
It just didn't read good. Like even the manner in which he was questioning the reporters reporting of the events without having listened.
But he was trying to brush it off, and he wasn't brushing it off.
He didn't know. He
just wasn't
he didn't
going
know your
anywhere.
man was the actual journalist. He should have been too.
That was me, the reporter.
Some fella around it. That was actually me.
Some Joseph.
You're like, this is a bad day. I don't fucking need this. Like,
to be fair, it was a fairly established reporter in Kildare, so I think he did know, but he just dug a hole there that there's no need for that.
But I seen it after as well.
But look, the one thing.
Could I just say one thing? Right, one thing on it. Kevin Callan gets sent off at the end of the game, which was pretty. Well, I thought it probably was a record. Nearly close the head off the fella. David Coulter sends him off. Bad end to a bad day for Clare. And the first reaction of the coaches from Clare go over, final whistle, go over, have a go with David Coulter over the red card. Like, I'm like, that is not where your problems are here, lads. Like that is, and I know maybe we said about Davy Burke, final whistle go, it's just you're worked up, but it just looks bad. Like your problems are not with a referee's decision when you're 13 points down at the end of the game. You know, bad day for them, bad day all round.
James, the one thing Clare've needed in the last couple of years when they've needed a win has been to see the green and gold of Meath turning up, because they've managed to beat them every single time. I will just say, O'Donoghue, when I picked Matthew Costello in my dream team 15,
Jimmy,
I didn't.
We have the audio. We have
listened to it back.
Jimmy.
I did not laugh.
Can I just?
I said, how have you got 12 positions before you put in a Meath player? That's what I said.
Okay, I've got the tape. Do you want to hear it back?
Don't misquote me now, like Glenn Ryan's poor interviewer.
No, I'm not interested.
That was incorrectly reported.
Okay. Let me just bring you back to the 69th minute, 30 seconds on the clock. 60 metres from goal. Matthew Costello collects the ball from Sean Brennan and he takes off. He beats 5 players. He gives Sam Mulroy a shoulder to leave him on his hole. He dummies Dermot Campbell in the next move. And with the outside of the left boot, he definitely flicks it into the net. I did say, I got a bit excited last night, I did say there was a Bang of Mugsy's classic against Tyrone off it in terms of the kind of the power and the deftness as well. What did you make of it, James?
I thought it was class goal. To be fair, there was 4 or 5 sensational goals this weekend. Like the quality of them was unbelievable. But that one in particular, because he had to show a bit of everything. Obviously the pace, but he hit Sam Mulroy, I think, kind of a belt, and he just collapsed when he was going through. But as he was going in, what I was thinking was the most straightforward finish would have been to open up his body and do a kind of a left-footed side foot to that side. That's what I would have tried to go. It would have been difficult, but I mean, to hit
that's not.
It's not happening. So to hit an outside, the left into the bottom corner was a sensational finish. Like in fairness, now in terms of difficulty, because you're starting that quite close to the keeper, so it's kind of curling away from him. So to hit it with enough pace that keeps going away from the keeper into the bottom corner, savage.
The tendency after a run like that, particularly after a big hit on Mulroy, is you lash it.
Yeah,
you just smash the ball with your laces, and particularly with the angle he's at, I agree. I think the inside of the left one isn't really.
He probably would have been blocked down or something.
Yeah. To actually cut across, like he doesn't lash, he cuts it across and executes it perfectly. Like in terms of the time of the game, the context of the game, me needed that. The run, the little dummy, the physicality. It's a brilliant goal. I have to say, it was.
It's a beautiful,
still nearly fecked the game away. Like, but that's a massive goal for Meath, for him personally. Like, what a buzz he gets off that. But it's a big win for Meath in the context of the season. Like they could. Well, where is that game this weekend? Is it in Navan or is it in Carlow?
It's in Navan. So it's another game in Navan. And like
if Meath get a win there, that could
get a win,
kickstart their season big time.
Kildare are rooted to the bottom there. Meath are probably safe, you'd have to say.
But coming into that game after a win and a bit of confidence, that'll tell a lot. You know.
Yeah, it gives them a bounce.
It does.
Yeah,
because if you're if you're in Kildare's spot,
we better wrap this up, lads.
Today, but just to tee up the weekend, because this is a big game. You know, the focus would obviously be Armagh, Donegal, Dublin, Kerry on Saturday night as well. I know Tyrone, Mayo was on telly as well.
Yes.
But if you're in Kildare's camp, this is a massive game. What is today like for them? Where are they going from here? When a performance as bad as that, they're getting it from all angles. Glenroyd is getting it from all angles. What you have to think there's some sort of kickback.
There has to be. Weekend. And I'll tell you what they'll be looking at. They'll be looking at the fact that outside of Donald Keoghan, who was brilliant again at the weekend, and Matthew Costello, that is a insanely inexperienced Meath team. There was a clatter of lads who were playing just their second league game at the weekend. I'd say 6 or 7. A couple of boys making their debut. And you put them up side by side with the Kildare panel and the power and the strength and the size of some of those Kildare boys. It is an established Kildare side. So Kildare will be looking at this game and targeting it at the weekend. And I know Meath are coming in off the bounce of this. Like, it's a huge opportunity for Kildare, and we will talk about that Thursday. Final one before we wrap up, lads. I want to shout for footballer of the weekend. Paddy, I'm fairly sure you were going to give it to Darrow. No, you weren't. James, you were going to give it to Darrow.
You went for...
I was giving it to Con.
Who are you going for, James?
Con.
You're going for
because
Con.
I didn't...
Okay,
the games I saw Dublin, I saw Kerry, and I saw Galway, Tyrone. So, standout for me there was Con. I thought he looked so sharp.
Okay, Paddy.
Was good, man.
Were you talking about Donegal's Darrow?
Turbot.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Turbot gets a score yesterday in the second half. Mark Mick O'Grady was one of Kildare's better defenders. And it's a kick pass in. He collects it out about 50 yards from goal. Turns, burns him, pushes him off, settles himself going. He's at full speed, settles down, clips it over his right foot. That guy is a player. He is... Like, he kind of showed it a bit in the early rounds of the Ulster Championship last year.
They lost faith in him last year, didn't they?
And he was kind of in and out of the team.
Which was surprising.
They didn't play him against Monaghan in the quarter-final. Is that right?
Yeah, they dropped him for one of the games, yeah.
This guy, he is a player. I think he's going to have a massive season for them. I thought he gets man of the match yesterday. But that score, just look at that score. Yes. Power, pace, composure. Against Mick O'Grady's a good defender, to be fair to him. And I think he's going to have a big, big season for Armagh. I thought he was brilliant. But if you're giving me a choice between Turbot and Con, I'm obviously going.
Well, there's one more player to go to the mix.
You went for Baoill. Kennedy was brilliant the first half. He scored 4 points.
I thought one of you were going for Baoill, so I would have gone for Ryan O'Rourke from Leitrim, who obviously scored that hat-trick in a key game in the Division 4. But I think I will go for Darrow Baoill because Donegal were misfiring in that first half. Fermanagh were given as good as Donegal were giving them. And Gallen was missing, McHugh was missing, McBearty was missing. And if you just see the quality of Darrow Baoill's first 3 points, it was that kind of that Kieran Whelan pocket for a right footer. The Paddy Andrews corner, you'd nearly say, but just a bit further back. And he was just opening the body and curling it over the bar against the wind. Gorgeous scores. And then his 2 goals in the second half. He actually had the crossbar for a third goal. I think he palmed it onto it. You saw the Beckham-esque finish, didn't you? 40 yards out.
I did see that.
Okay. James, I think I pulled the plug last week and made the call and steady it. I'm going to allow you to make the decision this week. Darrow Baoill, Conor Turbot, or Conor Callahan. Who is the Football Pod's footballer of the week?
I didn't see I didn't see some of that action. So I haven't
watched any of these games.
Just go. Do you want me
I'd
to
rather
make
you make the decision
or
because I have to go with Con from what I saw.
Making the decision this week. Con.
Okay, I think it's fair.
The last 2 weeks.
Paddy, James. I thought he was going to pick Con, Paddy. That's why I didn't go with it. Paddy, James, enjoyed that pod. There's loads to talk about. Thank God we've got another pod on Thursday for members to check out. And you can also download the Off the Ball app where you get 3 free listens a month. If you haven't used up your February allocation yet, you'll get us there on Thursday. We'll be looking ahead to a bumper weekend of football once more. There is one thing I wanted to mention, lads, and I'm going to put this tweet up afterwards. It's a GoFundMe for a former Meath footballer, Niall Kane from the Simonstown Club. A group of his friends are doing this. He's actually I hadn't realised this. He's actually got cancer, and he's recovering from it at the minute, and undergoing treatment for the last 18 months. Would have played with Meath up to the last 2 or 3 years. Would have been a very good wing back. And I'm just going to put it up there, just to GoFundMe. I don't think it's been kind of publicised that much so far, but the lads in Simonstown and Sean Tobin, another Meath footballer, is pushing it and is involved. They're going to run a marathon in Barcelona for him.
Nice.
As part
Send
of
that
it.
on to me, Send that on to
I will. I'm just going to put it up. I'll tweet it during the week as well. I just wanted to mention that. Yeah, James.
Thanks,
Paddy,
Tommy.
Enjoyed this week.
Paddy.
There's a lot going on.
Chat Thursday, boys.
Chat Thursday. Everybody at home, thanks for tuning in, and we'll chat to you next Monday or Thursday if you want a second dose of the football pod this week. Talk to you soon.